Nobody gave him a chance when the back nine began. Picture this. A young competitor standing on the 10th tee, staring down a deficit that seemed insurmountable. His opponent had been flawless all morning, draining putts from impossible distances, and hitting fairways with machine-like precision. The leaderboard told a brutal story, but what it couldn't show was the fire burning inside. The whispers had started early. Commentators were already writing their headlines. Scouts were updating their rankings, and even some of his own supporters were checking their watches. This was supposed to be a coronation for the favorite, not a contest. The young challenger had shown glimpses of brilliance in the first half, but brilliance wasn't enough against someone playing at this level. What made this tournament special was the stage itself. This wasn't just another junior event with participation trophies and polite applause. College coaches had flown in from across the country, clipboards in hand, ready to offer life-changing scholarships. Professional analysts were taking notes on swing mechanics and mental toughness. One mistake here could cost someone their future. One moment of magic could launch a career. The favorite had earned his reputation the hard way. At an age when most teenagers are focused on video games and social media, he had already competed against professionals and held his own. His resume included top finishes at elite tournaments and a work ethic that impressed even seasoned veterans. He didn't just beat opponents, he dominated them. Walking onto the course that morning, nobody questioned whether he would win, only by how much. His challenger carried a different kind of burden. He came from a golfing family with deep roots in the sport, which meant every shot was analyzed through a lens of legacy and expectation. People weren't just watching him play, they were comparing him to ghosts of the past, measuring him against achievements he hadn't even attempted yet. The weight of family history can either crush you or forge you into something stronger. What spectators didn't realize was that the challenger was dealing with physical pain that would have sent most players to the clubhouse. A shoulder issue had been bothering him for weeks, and the cold morning air had made it worse. Every full swing sent a jolt through his body. His coach had pulled him aside before the round, suggesting they consider withdrawing to avoid long-term damage. But something in the young player's eyes said no. There are moments in sports when you push through pain not because it's smart, but because quitting isn't an option. The opening holes were difficult to watch for anyone rooting for an upset. The favorite was clinical, making birdies look routine, while avoiding every hazard the course threw at him. By the time they made the turn, the gap had widened to 5 strokes. Golf statisticians will tell you that coming back from 5 down with 9 to play requires near perfection. You need to gain more than half a stroke per hole while your opponent maintains their level. It's possible in theory but rare in practice. Television coverage had already shifted its narrative. Analysts were praising both players, but making it clear the result was decided. Social media lit up with comments about the favorite's dominance, and questions about whether the challenger was truly ready for this level of competition. One broadcaster's assessment was particularly harsh, suggesting the gap in talent was simply too wide. That soundbite would age poorly. Something changed as they walked to the 10th tee. The challenger's caddy later described it as a transformation, like watching someone shed doubt and step into certainty. The score hadn't changed and the physical pain hadn't disappeared, but the mental approach shifted completely. Instead of trying not to lose, he started playing to win. On the 10th, a challenging par 4 with trouble everywhere, most players trailing by 5 would play conservative golf. Hit the fairway, hit the green, take your par and move on. The challenger rejected that strategy entirely. He pulled out his driver and attacked an aggressive angle that required perfect execution. The ball flew exactly where he intended, setting up an easy approach. When he knocked in the birdie putt, the deficit dropped to 4. It was one shot, but it felt like more. The 11th hole featured a treacherous par 3 with water protecting the front of the green. While the favorite played safely to the fat part of the putting surface, the challenger took dead aim at a pin position that offered no margin for error. His ball landed softly and settled close to the hole. Another birdie, gap down to 3 strokes. You could sense the energy in the gallery changing from sympathy to possibility. Hole 12 was a long par 5 where power typically dominated. The favorite crushed his drive, but for the first time all day, his approach shot missed its mark. The challenger, working around his shoulder limitation, chose a 3-wood for his second shot and struck it purely. The eagle putt he faced was makeable, and when it dropped, the crowd exploded. The favorite missed his birdie attempt. Suddenly, impossibly, the lead was just one stroke. The psychological momentum had completely flipped. The favorite, who had been cruising in complete control, now found himself glancing at scoreboards and rushing between shots. These are the subtle tells that indicate mounting pressure. Meanwhile, the challenger had found a rhythm that seemed unshakable, moving with purpose and confidence. Holes 13 through 15 produced tense pars from both players, neither willing to make a mistake that could decide the outcome. The tension built with every shot. Then came the 16th, a par 3 that had destroyed countless rounds over the years. The favorite hit a solid shot but left himself a lengthy putt. The challenger, still attacking, fired at the flag once more. His ball finished close enough to make birdie a formality. When both players finished the hole, they were tied. A 5-shot lead had vanished in 6 holes. The favorite looked shaken but not broken. He was still hitting good shots, but the comfort and ease from the front 9 had disappeared. The challenger, meanwhile, seemed to gain strength from the moment. His body language radiated belief. After both players secured par on the 17th, they arrived at the final hole with everything still to play for. The 18th was a brutal finishing hole, a long par 4 with water running down the left side from tee to green. The smart play was to aim right, take the hazard out of play, and rely on a good approach shot. The favorite chose wisdom over boldness, hitting a controlled drive into the fairway. It guaranteed he wouldn't lose the tournament on this tee shot, and gave him a chance to win it with his approach. It was the percentage play, the move any instructor would recommend. The challenger saw things differently. Standing on that 18th tee, he decided that playing safe wasn't good enough. He aimed his drive directly over the water, cutting off as much distance as possible. If the ball moved even slightly left, it would find the hazard and end his chances. But fear wasn't part of his calculation anymore. The drive split the sky and landed perfectly, leaving him a short iron into the green. Both players hit quality approach shots. The favorite's ball settled on the green about 25 feet from the cup, giving him a realistic birdie chance. Then the challenger stepped up with a wedge in his hands. The shot he hit never wavered from its target, landing softly and stopping just a few feet from the hole. The gallery's reaction was deafening. The favorite's birdie putt slid past the hole. The challenger now faced a short putt to complete one of the most remarkable comebacks in junior golf history. There was no hesitation in his routine, no last-minute doubt. The putt rolled true and dropped into the center of the cup. From 5 shots down with 9 holes to play, he had stormed back to claim victory on the final green. The favorite showed tremendous character in defeat, shaking hands and offering genuine congratulations. But the day belonged to the player who refused to accept that the match was over, who played through pain and doubt to author a comeback that defied logic. He proved that talent alone doesn't win championships, that mental toughness and unwavering belief can overcome seemingly impossible odds. This victory will be remembered not just for the shots made, but for what it revealed about competitive spirit at its highest level. When everything seemed lost, when experts had declared the outcome decided, one young golfer showed that champions create their own reality. The lesson is clear: the game isn't over until the final putt drops, and those who refuse to quit sometimes rewrite what's possible.